Hey friends, and welcome back to this week's Self-Love Masterclass. I have missed you all so much. I know it's been like a minute since I did my last video. And if you're new to this channel, my name is Mullings-Lewis. I'm a self-love coach and an energy healer. And we come back here almost every week to talk about all things related to self-love and self-esteem and self-confidence. Because here we're really all about creating that divine relationship with ourselves so that we can live the life of our dreams and really just manifest anything that we want. Be sure to hit the subscribe button now or at some point throughout this video. Okay, so what are we talking about? Well, today we're going to talk about giving our personal power away. And I know that I've done a video on this. I don't know if it was last year or the year before or what. But really for this video, what I want to focus on is the ways that we give away our personal power in intimate relationships, like romantic relationships. So throughout this video, I'm going to touch on dating and then actually being in a relationship. Grab your pen and your paper and let's get to work. I think before we even dive into the ways that we do it and how to sort of stop that, we have to know what it feels like when we give our personal power away. And I know that if you're human, you have felt the way that I'm about to describe, at least at some point in an intimate relationship. So sometimes you kind of get this feeling in the pit of your stomach, like you feel a little bit nauseous or you feel a little bit sick. And the thoughts that go along with that is, you question if you should have done something, or you question if you should have said something differently. You're second guessing yourself a little bit. You might even feel a little bit dizzy, lightheaded, nauseous. All of these are feelings that we get when sometimes we feel like a boundary's been crossed or something has happened that has violated our, sense of well-being. Something doesn't feel right, The thoughts that something doesn't feel right or something's off keeps circulating in your mind. And like I said, it manifests itself physically in the stomach or sometimes in the head area, like that lightheadedness or that dizziness. I even have worked with some clients who, the feeling of giving away their personal power has bothered them to the extent where, they're having difficulty sleeping, having difficulty concentrating at work or school, or just being really absent-minded when they're doing tasks like driving. So these are just some things to look out for. And if you're into energy and you really understand about the chakras, the area that really gets affected when we give away our personal power is the solar plexus chakra, right in the stomach area. And that's why we get those feelings so strongly physically there. Let's talk a little bit about dating, right? There are so many of us that are still in the game of trying to find love, trying to create that conscious relationship with another human that we can partner up with for the rest of our lives. And dating is a really crazy thing in this day and age. Obviously technology is such a huge part of the dating world, and it's really cool. In one of these classes that I'm taking right now, we were sort of talking about how this digital world, like this online world, actually has people behave in ways that they wouldn't normally behave, like with a real face-to-face person. And in some ways that's really awesome because people are a little bit more bold and more courageous. But in some ways it just really sucks because what happens is like people create this digital identity or sort of like this alter ego where they treat people in a way that just isn't really like acceptable, like if you were talking to someone face to face. And that's why sometimes a lot of just ethical boundaries get violated, or we violate our own personal boundaries because the rules of how we sort of behave with each other online is very different than in person. And so that's what I want to focus on here is, if you are online dating, if you're using apps, chat rooms, like these kinds of things, it's really important that you create some rules to not give your personal power away. One of the ways that we do give our personal power away in the dating world is, let's say you're conversing with someone and they start to take you down a road, like down into a conversation that doesn't feel very good. It makes you feel like all they want is one thing, or they're not really that interested in you. They just kind of are in it for themselves, or just treating you in a way that doesn't feel good for you. But you continue to engage, or you sort of like continue to walk down that path with them because, I don't know, maybe you've told yourself that you don't want to be too much of a prude, or this is the first really good looking person or person that seems to have all the qualities that you really like. So you start to compromise on your values and your expectations for how you want to be treated. And this is something that, you know, when I'm talking to women or men that I'm working with, they say, you know, like I had this intuitive sense, I had this feeling like this person kind of felt off, or I wasn't really sure if we were looking for the same thing, but I wanted to be open-minded and I kind of wanted to just see where it was going to go, and then it went somewhere that they didn't really want it to go, and then they feel all icky. Often I'll hear people say like, there's just no good guys out there, there's no good women out there, it's all jerks, dicks, you know, these kinds of things. And while it's true that, you know, there are all different kinds of people out there, dating, and particularly online dating, is kind of like this place where you sort of have to weed out, you know, the frog, so to speak. Not that, you know, not to be mean or anything like that, but just like a frog for you might be someone else's prince or princess, right? But it's a process where you have to like sift through. The important thing in not giving away your personal power is to create some really, really strong what I likes and what I don't like, and be clear to honor yourself and honor the other person. So my recommendation for you to stop giving away your personal power, if this is something that you've sort of been experiencing, is in every interaction online with someone, you ask yourself if I am honoring myself right now and if I'm honoring the other person right now. And if the answer to that question is no, then it's probably time for you to either cut communication with that person or speak up about it and say that this doesn't really work for you, or ask for what you want. The important thing is not to just keep going down the rabbit hole with the person when you know it doesn't feel right for you. The next thing that I want to touch on, how we give our personal power away, works in the dating world, and also if you're already in a relationship, and it doesn't really matter how long you've been in that relationship. And it's just really speaking up for yourself. One of the things that we do to give our personal power away is we're not honest about what we like and what we dislike. So let's say someone does something and we really don't like it. We kind of just like let it go or don't say anything about it because we don't want to be too much of a bother, we don't want to be a nag, we don't want to be a pain, we don't want to be too picky, we want to be more easygoing, or we just think it's us, like we think we shouldn't feel the way that we feel. And these are like huge ways that we give away our personal power. In order to stop giving that power away, we need to be able to find a way to lovingly express the things that we like and the things that we don't like. And it's also important that we date people who are really interested in what we like and what we don't like. And just like vice versa, you would be interested in what that person likes or doesn't like. The last thing you want to do is be in one of those relationships where they're so surface level, everyone's just being so nice to each other, everyone's just being yes, 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 and agreeable. And so you're really not getting to know each other if you're dating. And then even in your relationship, if that's kind of what it's devolved into, then it feels like you're always saying yes or you're always saying no based on what someone else wants. And it's like you're losing yourself. Eventually that feeling of losing yourself starts to build into a resentment or into like a depression, where you start to just feel like completely disconnected, not only from your relationship, but also from your life. And that's when you start having all those other symptoms showing up that I sort of touched on at the very beginning of this class, this video. Understand that people who are whole and healthy really like to have people who are just a little bit different from them. Yes, we want to have things in common, but it's okay to not like all the same things or to just be different. That actually makes a relationship much more colorful, fun, and it helps both of you to grow. There are quite a few other ways that we give our personal power away in intimate relationships, but the last one that I want to focus in on for this video is staying true to our values and being comfortable with conflict. So they're kind of like two sides of the same coin. Okay, what do I mean by this? Well, we get into a relationship with someone and let's say we're really spiritual, we like meditating, or we like doing certain kinds of things, but maybe that other person doesn't really... Oh, shit. So let's say there's something happening in your relationship and you start to dialogue about it or you start to fight about it. Sometimes because we just want things to go smoothly, or we just want someone else to be happy, or we just don't want to fight anymore, we give up. We basically say, okay, you win. And absolutely there are times in relationships where we're going to have to compromise and give a little bit, but it's important that it's not something that seriously speaks to what you value. This is why it's so important, even before you get married to someone or before you date somebody long term, that you understand what their values are. For example, if someone really values spending every weekend with family or family time, and you're like somebody who's like, I don't really care about family time, what's more important to me is travel, well, then you guys are not necessarily on the same page. So you want to be talking about that before you get into the relationship. But let's say you've already married someone who has very different family values from you. Well, you're going to have to compromise, yes, but it's important that you also work through those conflicts and that you not pretend that you have the values that that other person values. Because again, if you're not honoring what you value, then this is going to lead to that resentment. It's also part of the reason why I see so many people in extramarital affairs and, you know, just like engaging in behavior with people outside of their marriage that actually destroys their marriage. It's because they're not in a marriage or a commitment with somebody who lines up with them emotionally, mentally, psychologically, spiritually, on all levels. It's better to actually have conflict and work through these things than to try to avoid the conflict. Avoiding the conflict is what is giving away your personal power. I know it's not fun to fight, and I know it can be stressful and exhausting, but I promise you, on the other side of the conflict is some kind of alignment or some kind of acknowledgement or understanding that's either going to bring you closer together or have you arrive at an important decision where you think about what you both really want for your relationship. I wish that I had so much more time to get into more of the stuff that we do to give our personal power away, but I feel like this is a pretty good start and a pretty decent length video for you to sink your teeth into. If you have any questions about anything that I said, don't be shy, leave your question in the comments and I promise I will get back to you. Also, if you've had any experiences with giving your personal power away and triumphing, definitely tell us how you did that in the comments. Remember, everything that you share with me, you're sharing with others, and it helps us all to grow. Y'all, I have missed you, as I said before, and I'm so happy to be here connecting with you one-on-one. Thank you for being here. Please like this video if you found it helpful. And yes, absolutely, if you want to share this video with your friends, your family, your brother, your dog, anybody who will watch it and benefit from it, you go ahead and you do that. Well, I am hungry, so I'm gonna go get something to eat. Until we see each other next time, don't forget that you are loved and you matter and that we are in this together. Mwah.